gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and for the first time in what feels like ages, welcome back to the weekly live stream Q&A series. Apologies to anybody who might be wondering, Ryan, you're on early, you're here half an hour before the scheduled and planned time. I know I am. I never realised that I actually set the stream up for 7:30 tonight, so I need to come on early. I've got 5-a-sides at 8 o'clock, so I can't go live at 7:30. Otherwise, I'd miss the start of 5-a-sides. It's just one of those things. I'm so used to doing it at 7:30 most times I do them that I've just done it, and then when I went to go live tonight, I've realised, you know, that's not right. We were meant to go live at 7 p.m. It now is 7 p.m, so it's nice to see you. We're going to have a catch-up. We're going to talk about everything that we need to, including yesterday's game against Falkirk, the ups and the downs of said game. So stay tuned, stay with me, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and just like my good friend Dylan here who says happening sexy, hello, you can also join the 118er Thunder Club down below by using the top line of the description or the join button beside the channel name. But anyway, alas, we waste no more time, we get into things. It's nice to see some of you piling into the chat. I am expecting a smaller live crowd tonight because of my poor advertising and because of me getting the times wrong. But it's nice to see you nonetheless. Celtic 5, Falkirk 2. We are through to the semi-finals of the League Cup. We returned to Hampden. We missed out on the League Cup semi-finals last year, of course, and that trip to Hampden due to the fact we were out early last year to Kilmarnock in that first round tie that we played. Or I should say second round tie that we played. This year we do make it to Hampden, and we've been given the toughest draw of them all. Aberdeen is the team that I wanted to avoid in the semi-finals. I'd have much rather Rangers or Motherwell, obviously, in the semi-final matchups. But nonetheless, it's a challenge, it's a task, and you've got to beat the best to be the best. So we relish it, we welcome it. It's a tough draw, but it's one we should be getting by with the way we've been playing. The only thing is, Aberdeen, they've matched what we've done, really, haven't they? Despite the fact they're not in Europe, they can't match those European results. They've matched it in the league, stride for stride, step by step, and in the cup, they've got themselves to the semi-finals. They also are joint top of the table with Celtic because of their winning record. So yeah, it'll be a tough game. But nonetheless, Celtic's performance yesterday put them through, despite a scare half-time, only being 2-1. Up against Championship side Falkirk. It was always going to be a tough game. And it's a game now that I think we can look back on with a bit more perspective because the dust has settled. I think that most people are happy. You know, I don't think, I mean, we'll see Alistair in saying, evening all, have we stopped moaning yet? There obviously is things to moan about, things to criticise. A lot of people getting more carried away than others, you could say. But on the whole, I think that most people are happy. We'll come on to the things that have been critiqued, the things that have been picked on the most. But ultimately, I think most people are happy. And yeah, I mean, to be 2-1 down at half-time and to go and win the game 5-2, no matter how we done it, no matter who was the main influence, it's the fact that we did do it. And I think that other Celtic sides, and especially last year's Celtic side, would have probably struggled to do that. So, yeah, we're through, and that's what matters. Nicolas Kuhn, he was the guy that changed the game. He came on the park, and everything went rosy for Celtic. Everything sort of kind of started falling into place. You could say his performance was unbelievable. 2 goals and 2 assists inside half an hour of being on the park. Inside 23 minutes of being on the park, actually. I'll do him the justice into getting the exact timing right. Within 23 minutes of being in the park, he had 2 goals and 2 assists. He changed the game. And I love this conversation that we're having online. It's a good conversation. It might be nonsensical in the sense that opinions are flying and changing every 5 minutes. But on Wednesday night after the Bratislava game, all I seen was tweets saying Maida's the best winger in the country, Maida's the best winger at the club, etc, etc. After yesterday's game, it's Kuhn's the best winger in the country, Kuhn's the best winger at the club. We're doing that well, and every player is performing to an exceptional standard to the point where every week the first name in the team sheet is changing with every single game. The best winger at the club, the best player at the club is changing every single game because players are constantly putting shifts in, because they're constantly giving it their all and putting out performances like that. And Nicolas Kuhn deserves the credit for that yesterday. It is a magic time to be a Celtic fan. There is very little to talk about in the sense of negativity. There is very little to moan about. But I'm sure we'll have questions that you want me to answer and talk about. in this stream that might bring up some of the wee bits of negatives or the wee negatives that are in there. Thank you to Voice Tech. It's good to see you. I was hoping to see you tonight, Voice Tech. Thank you for the donation. Saying, hello, Ryan. What a start for the Champions League for our club. Sparta Prague won at home against Salzburg 3-0. Celtic beating our rivals from the Federal years ago, Slovan Bratislava 5-1 at home. Beautiful times and cheers. I don't have any liquid on me right now. I do have a Kieran Tierney mug, Voice Tech. So I cheers you with the mug. A great result for Prague. I had a draw on the KÜHN. I thought a draw would have been a good result for Prague, and I seen that they were 3-0 up or 2-0 up very, very quickly. My KÜHN was at the window because I had them on for a draw. But fair play. They looked brilliant. They looked really, really good, Prague. So thank you for the donation. Hopefully both teams to go on as have started, I should say. So yeah, thank you, Voice Tech. I do appreciate that, and best of luck for the rest of the group stages, or the league phase, I should say. Yeah, so a lot to talk about. Not so much. I mean, it's one of those days. I'll get into questions in a moment. It's one of those days. If you go into Google, you type in Celtic SC News, or you go to the Records website or anything like that, there isn't an awful lot to talk about. There isn't much news out there. Transfer season's done. Champions League draw is done. Somebody saying sound isn't great. Give me a moment. I've meant to do this for a while. I'm going to turn up the microphone. Hold. Right, I don't want to turn it up too loud. Is that okay? I don't want to turn it up too loud. It's to the point where it's like I'm actually busting through. I've been having problems with my microphone recently. For some reason, it's a lot quieter than usual, and I can't find the exact source as to why that's happening. People saying it sounds fine. Dylan saying it sounds fine. We should not be worried about Aberdeen, like the look of Trusty. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say we shouldn't be worried about them, but people are saying it's better. Right, that's good. Sounds fine. Sounds fixed. Right, before I get into questions, I guess the big thing we've got to talk about yesterday, if we want to talk about the things that people are nitpicking at, it has got to be the criticism that Luis Palma has faced online. He has come under significant criticism after his performance yesterday against Falkirk, and the way that I worded it in my video was he was given a golden opportunity, a massive chance, perhaps one of the only starts he'll get, and he didn't take it. And one thing I want to put to bed just now is, right, and I want to get this out the way, I've seen far too many people criticising the attitude of Luis Palma. Bad performances don't always equal bad attitudes. I haven't seen a single bit of evidence which would suggest that he has a bad attitude. And I don't think anybody at the club has said that either. I don't think Brendan Rodgers has said that. I've not heard any of the players. All the players seem to share a really good relationship with Luis Palma as well. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say a bad word about him when I've been at any of the fan media events or anything. It's only good things I've heard about Luis Palma. One of the things I would like to put to bed is that, and I think people need to stop piggybacking off maybe a couple of people's tweets or opinions that his attitude stinks. I don't think it stinks at all. What I think the case of the matter is, he's simply maybe just not good enough. And that's that. People can still try, but also not be good enough. And for Luis Palma, it seems like it's a case of that right now. Now, he did take to social media and he posted something on his page. But once again, what I'll say for Luis Palma is this post, and I don't know if people are going to try and make anything of it and try and relate it to any sort of attitude problems. All he's posted is the word resilience with the definition of it. That's it. And if anything, resilience is a very good trait to have as a football player. If Luis Palma knows himself that he wasn't good enough yesterday, if Luis Palma knows himself that he hasn't been good enough since he joined Celtic, and if Luis Palma deep down knows that he wants a career at Celtic Football Club, then we should put at least the trust in him to go away, go to Lennoxtown, work harder, do better, so that he can put all of this behind him and maybe does come out to be a good player. I don't wish for any player at Celtic not to have a career at the club. I don't wish for any player to fail at Celtic, and Luis Palma is included in that bracket. He isn't lighting the... He's not impressing, right? It's as simple as that. He's not impressing. He hasn't been good enough. He just needs to work harder. He needs to get better. And I know that he hasn't been given loads of chances, and he's kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. But that's through his own doing. He's simply not been good enough. I just don't like this narrative that's been peddled that his attitude stinks, because I've never seen any evidence of that. And until I do see evidence of that, until I do see something that suggests that Luis Palma's attitude isn't doing anything for him at Lennoxtown or whatever, then I'll agree to that. His performance wasn't good enough yesterday. It deserves to be criticised. We are now at a point where I think his Celtic career is a bit up in the air. But that's down to his footballing ability. Listen, he never got going in the game yesterday. I think that he made life difficult for Alex Valley. It seems like the joint opinion online in the Celtic social sphere is that Alex Valley shouldn't be too heavily judged on his debut performance yesterday because he was playing alongside somebody who had as poor of a game as Luis Palma. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment on Alex Valley. I don't think he was that bad anyway, to the point where we need to have that conversation. I thought he was fine. I didn't think he was great. I didn't think he was terrible. But I do understand why people are saying, okay, maybe we give him a pass for this one. I hope that Luis Palma can go away and put the head down. I really, really do. There was, and as Mark has said here, I think that there was signs when he started off at Celtic that there was a player in there, and I do think that there is. I do think that there's something there in him, but it's just not happened for me. I don't know what it is. I've seen a lot of people saying the old, I think this happened for a lot of wingers in Scotland recently. That he's not a winger, and I can see that. I can understand that. He doesn't have the pace that you would maybe expect in a traditional Celtic winger. He doesn't have the track and back ability of a traditional Celtic winger, and maybe that's down to laziness. I don't know. Maybe it's down to just general fitness. He doesn't seem like a winger. He seems a bit slow. He seems a bit fancy. I don't know. Maybe he'd be better playing through the middle. But I do believe that with the signs that we've seen, there is something in there. Confidence is needed. Confidence will make him a better player. But right now, certainly no confidence in there. And he had a poor performance yesterday. I trust Brendan Rodgers to take him aside at Lennoxtown to try and get him through that. I don't think he'll just bid him. But I think that he is, between now and January, got a lot of work to do, especially in the training ground in front of the manager, to prove that he deserves to stay at Celtic, because right now he is a weak link in the side. We talked about cutting the dead wood in the summer window. That was one of the biggest conversations. We need to cut dead wood at Celtic. And Luis Palma was excluded from that conversation because I think a lot of people wanted to give him a second chance under a better Celtic side, an improved Celtic side, and one that wasn't struggled with the restraints of last season's poor form. But so far, he's not had that opportunity. He's not done that this season. So he's going to throw away that second chance if he doesn't buck up. But I admire that he's resilient, and I want him to come through it, and we'll wait and see. We're going to get through a lot of the conversations. But I've got to get to the donation. Thank you very much to Caffel, who's donated £5. It's very much appreciated. Thank you, Caffel. I think Palma is a good player, made a good contribution last year. He didn't have a good game, but he hasn't actually had a run with the first team. Yeah, I think, look, listen, there's two ways of looking at it with Luis Palma, and I think it's very evident in the Celtic support what those two ways are. Thank you, by the way, once again, Caffel. I think that there's no down the middle with Luis Palma. It's either glass half full or glass half empty. If you're half full, you're looking at it as he had a poor game yesterday, but there's a player in there, he needs a run of form. If you're a glass half empty, which I feel like most of the support are with Luis Palma at the minute and ready to kind of cut ties with him, it's that he's utter dog meat and he doesn't deserve to play. There seems to be no down the middle with the Luis Palma situation. I think it is one of the two looks that most fans seem to have on him. So yeah, that is there. Anyway, I want to hear your points. I want to talk to you guys. I want to get your questions. Yeah, 5-2 winners. Is Palma Brendan Rodgers signing? Well, I mean, yeah, it was signed under Brendan Rodgers' management. Whether or not it was Rodgers that picked him out from the list of players remains unknown. But who knows? Maybe not. I feel like none of the signings last year were Rodgers signings, but he has an input at the end of the day, doesn't he? Too many playing the game for the first time together. Yeah, that was a big problem with yesterday in the first half, wasn't it? It was a completely different looking side. We had a full back four out there of Ralston, Welsh, Trusty and Bally. Two of them who'd never played for Celtic before in their life. Two of them who arguably aren't good enough to play for Celtic. It was a really strange back four. And that, you build from the back, don't you? So that's going to kind of resonate throughout the entire team. Thank you to Effie Ambrose, by the way. You're a legend, Effie. And I hope you enjoy retirement, big man. Thank you for the donation. By the way, I'm not actually sitting here thinking it's the real Effie Ambrose before people think that. I really did like Palma. I just thought he would have gotten better from last season. Was it an injury that he got and kind of knocked him off balance? Yeah, well, he did suffer, didn't he? Fitness issues were a big part of why he wasn't in the team more last season. And another part is because the form Dyson Maeda has gathered at times as well. You know, Maeda goes through real purple patches of brilliance. And right now that's one of those patches that he's in. So it's hard for Palma to get into the team. But yeah, maybe it did knock him off. Can we talk about Rio? He looked like he gave up yesterday, says Mackenzie Coyle. I don't know if I would say gave up is the word. I think that Rio Hatate is really unfortunate because he set the bar so high for himself. He's one of these players that, you know, these are the sort of opinions. And listen, if you think that's the case, that's fair, because I think that, you know, that will always play on his mind that he does want a move and he's good enough for a move. But, you know, what I'll say to that is, he set the bar so high that we expect that brilliance all the time. We will see the best of Hatate again, and he had a poor game yesterday, I thought. Some people in my comments didn't agree with me. I thought he had a poor game. Some people in the comments thought he had a decent game. I didn't think he had a decent game. I thought he struggled. But I think, you know, it just, you know, it's peaks and troughs, isn't it? And I know that's a very overused saying with footballers nowadays, you know, peaks and troughs. But you know, Hatate will play at his best again. You don't lose all that talent overnight. You go through bad veins of form. And listen, people will speculate about Rio wanting to leave. And I think, for me, listen, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. I think it's utter nonsense because you see the relationship that he shares with Brendan Rodgers. And ever since the start of this season, up to the end of the transfer window, through the transfer window, every time they go off the park together, they're smiling, they're laughing. Rodgers has his arm around the shoulder. I don't think that Rio Hatate is showing the signs of a player who's wanting to leave necessarily. I think he's showing the signs of a player who's maybe frustrated that he isn't playing at his best, and maybe that's harping his performances. So, yeah, I don't think that it's the end of the world for Rio Hatate at the minute, and I think that because he has set that bar so high, he is constantly under a microscope, which is fair because he should be playing better, and right now, Engels and Bernardo are playing as the players that are on form and the players that should probably deserve to be in the team all the time. Let me rapid fire through some other... Sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes because I've actually been I think I've come down with some sort of flu, and I've been absolutely knackered all day, and you might hear my throat is a bit croaky as well. Evening, Adam. Nice to see you. Alistair, like the look of Trusty. Thoughts, Ryan? Yeah, I think he looked fine. Once again, you know, it's hard to judge players in a game, you know, against, no disrespect, but against Falkirk when they're there for the first time. You really want to see them getting a string of games against top opposition. But look, Falkirk were the best team we've played so far this season. So, you know, maybe it was the right game to see him in. Maybe it was the game that really showed his best, or if not worst. So I like the look of him. Early days, Alistair, but I did think he was okay. Hatate will shine again. His form dips when he's a touch out of sync. Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of touching on what I was saying there. Look, I agree. Nielsen, that bomb scare first half was like the beginning of last season. Yeah, very reminiscent to that. Why would he want to leave? He signed a new deal. Exactly, Alice. That's what I mean. I think it's nonsense. I think that people... The problem with Celtic nowadays is as soon as a player starts to perform poorly, it's on he went away. And I don't know why we always jump to that first. You know, there is such a thing as just having bad form. It's not being a player full of confidence. It's having a bad run of games. Just because you've played badly for 4 or 5 games maybe doesn't mean you want off. And we don't always need to make that as the first excuse. It's nonsense. Jordan, thank you for the donation. I've really much appreciated it. By the way, over 226 live viewers, by the way. Thank you very much on this Monday evening, especially because I advertised the wrong time for the start point. If you haven't, please hit like and subscribe if you can, or if you want to, please donate, and you can become a channel member as well. Jordan, thank you. Evening, lad. Clover. Did you mean to take Clover? I do that quite a lot. Clover. I think Valley will be a player with Maeda in front and Scales next to him. Yeah, look, listen, I seen someone bring it up, and I know it's very cliche, but, you know, Henrik Larsson had a fucking rotten debut for Celtic, and he turned out to be one of the club's best ever players. You know, debuts, you can take what you want from them, but we shouldn't write a player off or project them or put them to superstardom after one either. You know, it's games at a time. So, yeah, Jordan, I agree. I think we'll see much, much more from Alex Barry over time and time. And that's the main thing. Right, let's try and get through some questions, shall we? Let's go. Do you see Celtic getting something against Dortmund next week? Well, we'll be talking about that as the week goes on. But if the result against Stuttgart at the weekend is anything to go by, then there's always a chance. Never say never. I think it'll be a closer game than what I originally anticipated. Put it that way. I don't have expectation put on Celtic to go over and win Dortmund. That would be unfair. But I certainly think we can give them a good game, and hopefully we can keep it close. That's where I stand right now. But we'll see how I'm feeling this time next week. Thought Trusty was a calm player, really good in the ball, just a bit slow. Valley looks inexperienced. Big change, coming to the Scottish Premiership, and people have got to remember that. I mean, the football here is so different from what it is in Spain, and obviously he was in the Spanish second division last season, so yeah, very, very different. Bernabei, Nawrowski, Lagerbielke, Trusty, Bally to start with. Who's scouting 4.4 million players worse than Welsh and Scales? Well, listen, as I said, let's not jump in two-footed on Trusty and Valley, who have played a game each, you know what I mean? Let's not jump in. Now, I can understand if Bernabei, Lagerbielke and Nawrowski, I would like to see who's scouting them, but I don't necessarily think that Nawrowski and Lagerbielke are worse than Scales. Sorry, not worse than Scales, worse than Welsh. I don't think they're necessarily worse than Welsh. Because I think Welsh is rotten, I think those two are better than him. Looks like Trusty will have a few weeks in the first team as Vickers' foot injury seems a bigger problem than we thought. Well, we're waiting to hear what Roger says. We won't know till Friday. People are already speculating in the forums and all the rest of it, but until the manager speaks, I wouldn't get too bogged down on injury talk right now because it's all hearsay. So don't get too carried away, folks, with what you might read online. I wish that I could tell you anything. Should we speak about the injury news doubt for Dortmund? It would be a disaster. Well, I'm going to type in Cameron Carter-Vickers for a minute and see what the last thing. What did Rodgers say? Did he speak after the game yesterday? Huge Celtic doubt for Dortmund. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So what did Rodgers' exact quote? Cam has been suffering a wee bit with his below his big toe. Can't say the muscle. We gave it. So let's talk about this. Yeah. Okay. I never realised that Rodgers had actually already commented on it. So my apologies, especially to the previous commenter who I just kind of disregarded. Cam has been suffering. So this was Rodgers' exact quote on the Cameron Carter-Vickers injury. Cam has been suffering a wee bit with his metatarsal below his big toe. We give it a little bit of period earlier on, a few weeks back, and he was okay. He's got a little bit sore, obviously playing back-to-back games, which is why we've given him today free. So we'll assess that and see how it is. Yeah. So as I said a moment ago, wait till Friday. That's when we'll know what the situation is. People asking, is he becoming injury prone and whatnot? I see those questions sort of floating around the chat. Listen, knocks happen in football. This isn't anything overly serious. Sometimes you have to miss a game or two. The good thing is Alistair Johnson will be fine. He'll be training again this week. Apparently, Roger said that he's had a bit of an issue around the back, so he had an injection. But he'll train on Tuesday and Wednesday, and he'll be absolutely fine. We just metatarsal. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. So yeah, we'll see with Vickers. But as I said, don't read too much into what you see on forums. Just let the manager talk to us on Friday. The smart thing to maybe do would be giving him a rest at the weekend and then getting back in for Dortmund. But as I said, we'll wait and see. So one of the biggest questions that I've seen going around the chat from Big Rab. Saying that Taylor's contract, that's the biggest question at the moment. I have said, what's this, bro? You need to stop coming on to talk about Celtic. I'm reading one of the Mark's comment. I'm confused. So this is one. Listen, I don't want to spend too long talking about this because I've said this in a few streams by now, and my opinion stays the same on the Taylor contract situation. Taylor's contract is going to be a Greg Taylor decision. It's not going to be a Celtic decision because the Celtic decision has already been made. I can guarantee that. I can say wholeheartedly with my whole chest that Brendan Rodgers and Celtic will want to give Greg Taylor a new contract. The decision is going to lie with Greg Taylor, I think. What he's given will determine what he decides to do, and I don't mean money, I mean his future with the club. If Greg Taylor thinks he's good enough to play football and might not be getting that guarantee at Celtic, then he may choose to move on. Well, he's got the opportunity to. Well, he can talk to other clubs. I think he'll sign the contract. As simple as that. I think he'll sign the contract. But I think it's a Greg Taylor decision, and we'll hear more about it over the next month, I would say. I think that would be the time scale for it. They need to get it done by January, of course. That's when you want to get it done so that other clubs aren't in his ear. But I don't, listen, we've not heard about any reported interest in Taylor, so it'll all be very fresh when it does happen. So we'll wait and see. Oh, right, okay, I get it now. You need to stop coming out to talk about Celtic with other teams' merchandise on. Oh, it's a football top, man. Fucking hell. That's what it is. I get you now, Mark. Listen, it's a fucking football. That always annoys me. People go, why are you wearing the Germany top? Why are you wearing a Celtic top? I don't wear Celtic tops every fucking day of the week. I do own other clothes, And people are like, change into a Celtic top. I'm not going to change into a Celtic top for a Bastarton video. I've had this on all day. I'll put it on all day so I can put it in the wash tonight. Right? Give me peace. Jesus. Sorry, lads. Getting a bit passionate in here. AJ will be Celtic captain. I agree. I think he could be the next captain. But I think that teams will be sniffing around him over the next couple of years, Nawrocki should be starting ahead of Welsh for me. Welsh was terrible again yesterday. I agree. Roscoe. I don't think he was terrible. I didn't think he was good. Didn't think he was terrible. Poor, maybe. But I agree with the overall sentiment of what you're saying. Yeah, I think Nawrocki should be starting ahead of him. Palma isn't a winger. That's what I was saying earlier. Palma isn't a winger. Nice. Like to see him in the 10 role against packed defences, but the biggest point is Taylor's contract. His was a captain waiting on that part yesterday, getting things moving. Yeah, Palma through the middle, maybe. Who knows? I don't think Rodgers would do it. I don't think there's a need to do it, but I think it might suit him better, as you said. Welsh was meant to move on in the window. The original plans were that Welsh was meant to move on, but I think very quickly you realise, oh, wait, hold on. We need to have players for Europe that have been trained by the club. And maybe that's what held it up. But, yeah. Big toe I forgot how to say it already. Big toe injury was what ended Mark Rapier and Gary Lineker's careers, and so shouldn't be played down, but hopefully a week off he's okay for Dortmund. Well, let's hope it's not as serious as what Gary and Mark suffered, but I think from the way Rodgers is talking, it shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't be. It can't be career ending. You hope. I shouldn't have any other clothes. I know, I shouldn't have any other clothes. Do you hear that? My wee alarm bell. Wee bells on it rang. That top is hideous. That's a nice shirt. I like this top. That's one of my favourite Man United home tops that they've had. Jesus. Hello, Thomas. Hail. A should be starting ahead of Welsh. I'm assuming we're still talking about Nawrocki here. Shame what? Look, this is. Do you know what? I actually want to talk about this before we go off tonight, because I think I've only got about 5 more minutes before I need to go. And the Iwata stuff has wound me up all week. Good, he's away and he's doing well for himself. I liked him as well, right? But why is Celtic fans are listen? He was never going to play for us. There's no point in rewriting anything to the point of where. Listen, I'm not saying that we can't say. We can't say we miss him or that we liked him. Of course, I liked him. I really liked him. I thought he was a good player and I ideally wanted him to stay. But he was not going to kick a ball very often for us this year. How was he going to? And this isn't necessarily directed towards you, Effie, by any means. It's not directed towards you by any means. It's directed towards the ones on Twitter that are making this big deal as if he was going to play every week. How was he going to get in ahead of Callum McGregor? Who has started the season brilliantly, may I add, Callum McGregor. Iwata didn't have a Celtic future, and he's good enough to go out. And, Birmingham's maybe his level as well. Listen, just let him enjoy his football. Wish him his best and move on from it, I would say. He was a good player, but he was just never going to get in the team. McGregor, Engels, Hatate, McCowan, who's the other one that I'm forgetting? Bernardo are all here now, and Iwata just doesn't get in ahead of them for me at the minute. Maybe McCowan, because we've not seen a lot of him, but it's just as simple as that. That's it for me. And I understand that point. Keeping Kwon and letting Iwata go. I think the big difference is Kwon's a much younger player. We've also loaned Kwon out for development. There would have been no point in loaning out Iwata. He's at the point of his career where he's, wants a move, wants to be settled. And listen, it might have just been what he wanted as well. He might have wanted to play football. People forget about that. So yeah, he's gone, and that's that. And best of luck to him. He's been doing well. McCowan was cup tied, Mackenzie. Yes, he was. He played for Dundee, obviously, in the group stages, so he couldn't play for us. I think he was also still at Dundee in the last round as well when we played Hibs, wasn't he? Because the transfer window wasn't done yet. Anyway, I better wrap it up there this evening, ladies and gents, because I need to go and get ready for 5-a-sides. So Thank you very much for tuning in. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. There will be a members only live stream over the next couple of days, probably Wednesday night. So for members in the chat, remember you can tune into that on Wednesday and we can carry on all of these discussions plus more. But for me tonight, that's all. We'll be back with another main channel video tomorrow. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you next time.